So I was going to call myself a careers expert, but that sounded a bit pushy.
Sure.
There's too many experts out there. So I'm just your careers guide.
So, I mean, I know that getting a job can be one of the most stressful things, and it can be one of the hardest things for some people. There's obviously a big process there. You've got to decide, what is the right job. You've got to find that job and apply for a CV application, then do the interview, and then obviously settle in, do the job itself. So, it's a thing that a lot of people struggle with. And to start with, tell people a bit more about what you do, and how you help people with this process. What do you do in your...
So a little bit of background. I am serially unemployable.
Right. Okay.
So if you find yourself like me, knowing more than the boss, I'm afraid you're going to have to start your own business, like what I did.
Okay. Good.
But yeah, if you're going to have to get some kind of job, then my job is to make sure you're at least looking for the right one.
Do you think people get it wrong at that stage? A lot of people in choosing right job, right career.
Absolutely. We when we're young, we're often pressurized to follow the tram lines. So again, for me, I was sort of pressurized towards doing the O levels back from prehistory that were on the tram lines to make me an accountant.
Right. Okay.
And then when it came to actually signing on the dotted line for my subjects, I said, stuff that. I'm going to be a physicist instead. So that was a good decision. But then moving on, I have indeed been trapped in several jobs which were not aligned with my core values. And then you go mad. You'll take the money, but you won't be fulfilled. And I want you to be fulfilled and earn money.
No, of course. I think that's the ideal, isn't it? I think it's easy to set compromise. I think in a lot of aspects of life, and I think career. There's obviously a lot of people do think, well, perhaps the salary or the enjoyment, satisfaction, or where the job is, where opportunities. So it's how to get that holistic thing of enjoying a job, but also a job where you can develop and get good pay. Would you say? I mean, with I'm passionate about communication influence. My background is working in communication marketing, and I'm a copywriter at the moment. What I guess do you, with what you do you advise people on sort of the application process with like CVs and job applications, or do you more focus on the sort of finding the right career, choosing the right
job?
So
really the real first step is to make sure you just slow down and make sure you're climbing the right mountain.
Right.
There's loads of people, techniques, YouTube videos that will tell you how to make a better CV, how to present yourself better at interview, all that sort of stuff. Those are later on. Right now, I want you to look at where you want to be, who you want to work with, what companies are really aligned with your core values. Are you an eco warrior? If you're an eco warrior, and you've got certain skills, how can you use those skills with an eco-friendly company?
Sure.
And then it's go and choose your top 3 favorite places that you really fancy working at, and let's go there first before even thinking about CVs and other things. I'll pick up on your communication. I say I'm a great fan of Gary Vaynerchuk.
Sure.
So I take Gary Vaynerchuk as the world expert in social media marketing, and he says he employs on EQ, emotional intelligence, rather than IQ. He says, I don't care how clever you are, but if you don't work as a team, you're out. So this is back to your communication that you're focusing on, Nick. Communication skills and people skills are really paramount. They say it's 80% mindset, 20% skills, and sort of getting a job and keeping the job, 80% communication, 20% skills. So I think you're really on the right track.
No, I agree with you. Agree with you there so much. I think it's with a sort of communicating influence. I think with a CV, or even in an interview itself, if you just say, what you do, what you've done, it's a bit of a sort of so what. We really have to sell our personality as well, and why we're different, why people should hire us, all of that. And I think I've read, whether it's 3 or 4 seconds, people scan CVs, and I think it's 9 seconds. That figure, people make up their mind in an interview. We know this. First impression is so important. Do you think? Do you have any sort of thoughts about how you should hook someone in when you create a first impression, whether it's for a CV or an interview?
Say it's the CV. You've got 2 candidates. Say we're talking about a youngster, someone just left school or just left university, and I've got 2 CVs in front of me. They're both similarly qualified, and one says, here's what I know, here's what I know, here's what I know, and the other one says, here's what I know, here's what I know, here's what I know, and I've been helping the local charity with this.
Okay.
They've actually done something. Now, I'm going to say they've got out of basically all the interesting stuff is outside the room.
Right. Okay.
So I'm intrigued. What did you do down that charity? How did you contribute before you were even asked?
So the extracurricular, almost outside work things can generally make a difference.
I think it's huge. Back to people skills.
Right. Okay. And do you related to that, I guess, one of the things I had a challenge at one time was must maybe done it a few times in my career, and I had a few gaps in my CV, and I know that can be perceived as a challenge, to explain that. Or would you advise people the same, that when explaining gaps, show that if you haven't been working, say, show you've been up to you've been up something, you've been you've got interest, and you've been contributing.
So so what things could you put in those gaps? So with blooming what, it's been a fantastic opportunity to learn. So my standard line is that information is free.
Sure.
There's really no excuse, and when I say free, I mean less than £100 or $100. Good old Udemy is your friend, with online courses of amazing quality available down to about $10 on sale. So what can you do if you're stuck at home unemployed? You can learn and learn and learn for some of your time, but also I maintain that you can reach out to local people, local organizations. Sure. And say, look, I've got a couple of hours spare. These are the skills I want to develop. Can I do a bit of whatever? Can I post a social media post for you?
So the power of volunteering, I fully believe that, there's a lot to be said about someone who contributes in that way, and it's a way of obviously learning new skills. So you think that's definitely is valuable, because it's often said.
So remember, obviously it's good karma.
Sure.
But remember, you can't cheat karma.
Sure. So
don't try and cheat karma by volunteering when you don't really want to. But back to communications, it is who you know, and you never know who might be on the board of the trustees of that charity that happens to be looking in their other business for someone with your skills.
That was one of my questions was everyone says it's who you know, not what you know, and is it still that case, with job hunting? Has it changed at all? But is it?
Well, in the olden days, they used to say it's only 10% of jobs will be announced in public.
Sure.
Nick, you're a bit more up to date than me. So what's the going rate, you reckon?
I don't know the exact figure, but I've heard that I don't know, maybe it's a 2080 thing, but I've heard it in reality, it still is pretty much I don't know, I've heard that, you know, shockingly, you know, amount of jobs are still through connections or through networking, and actually, yeah, very few actually.
Yeah, I'm gonna, but again, I'm gonna try and spin that positive. That means for the viewers that are prepared to be proactive, it's go and hunt those places you want to work, and then follow, like, and comment the stuff that their employees are posting on social media. I'm focusing on LinkedIn.
Sure.
So and every people notice if you are putting sensible multi-sentence comments on stuff that your potential colleagues are posting, you're going to look good, and they're going to get a feel for your character before you've even met them. Okay,
so as a sort of mini strategy there, put that, have a list of people, identify people you would be interested to work for or could be useful to connect with, and then perhaps connect to them, look at their posts and engage their posts, put some comments in so that you start building a relationship.
Exactly. Because again, so I'm an employer. Someone sends me a connection. Hi, John, love fix my PC, give me a job.
Sure.
Or, hi, John, love your stuff you're doing. Can you tell me more about heat pumps?
Sure.
Wants to know about heat pumps. Let's have a conversation. But give me a job. No, I haven't. Yeah.
It's kind of establishing rapport, isn't it? It's build that connection, and then the job thing comes after relationship's built.
Yeah, slowly catch a monkey.
Okay, and do you think is it harder for introverts to get jobs, or does it make no difference?
I'm gonna say it makes no difference.
Sure.
Because you just have to do the work.
Sure.
You if you're an introvert, then you can hide behind a text.
Sure.
Not the end of the world. You might not want to do that video CV tomorrow, but you can certainly work on your script in your messaging that is gentle and personable.
Okay, that's great. And some questions people sent to me. Do you there's been a bit of adaptation of processes around sort of tech and AI with a lot of processes like job hunting, and I know sort of you suggested one way to look for jobs is using obviously social media like LinkedIn, and I know there's sort of CV scanning as one of the parts of the process. Do you think technology has made it, has changed the way we should apply for jobs? Is it consideration, or really is it that's something that's behind the scenes? And
so I think it does slightly depend on what type of job you're going for.
Sure.
If you're going for a commodity job, if you're one of 100 candidates, you probably want to do SEO on your CV.
Right. Okay.
All right. If you're going for a job that you really want, where there's probably only going to be 1 to 5 candidates, then it's a people to people thing. Mike, one of the people I respect, who I can't quite remember who said this, but there's no business to business selling. It's all people to people.
Sure.
So all this AI, let's be honest, right? Why are big businesses using AI to filter CVs? Because they got 1,000 to go through. So they want a quick whittle down to 100. Then they want a quick whittle down to something manageable like 10 or 20. At the end, it will have to go to a person.
Sure. No, of course. It's true. Everything, for those people running businesses, people applying for jobs, people recruiting. I agree with you, and I think it'll always be, that is what it's always going to be about. At the end of the day, fundamentally with technology. Just to go back to the question about making an impact on your first impression, with sort of, for example, CVs, I know there's some people say include a photo, some people say don't do that. I think you mentioned before the interview about video CVs. Where do you stand? Do you think that the traditional written CVs works the best, or do you think people should evolve and consider sending an introduction to ourselves, or a sort of video CV in that way?
So again, it sort of depends on the job, depends a little bit on the applicant, but have you heard the expression, be the friend you want to have?
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So be the CV you'd like to receive. When I was little, I always used to put my exams on and things. But nowadays, if I did have to apply for a job, then it would be absolutely tailored to that position, how I can contribute, what I've done to prove that. What activity have I done that proves that I have the skill to fit in the job that's being advertised?
Okay.
And again, I think nowadays I would put a photo on.
Okay, interesting.
Because, well, for many reasons. One is it makes you a real person.
Sure.
It makes you real. And it's potentially going to stick out. Obviously, if it's on paper, really quality paper, high quality paper, with a quality color printed photo, and again, professionally taken, not a selfie.
Sure.
You want a nice long focal length, so you don't get big nose syndrome.
Of course, no.
So something like that. The other one is make it a page.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, again, do you want an essay?
Sure.
Honestly. And then again, if it's electronic, then you're going to be sending in a PDF, probably not a Word document, probably a PDF. And there it's going to be super high quality graphics.
Right.
A nice professional layout.
That's
what I'd like to receive.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, with one of the things I always say to people when I look at their review their copy, and it's, less is more. And one of the first things I always end up doing is cutting a lot of their copy down. I think it's one of we need. I think with certainly with a lot of the copy I look at, people think by adding more to adding value, and actually, it's long paragraphs, long sentences. And I just So I guess the same with principles of a CV, but I think that is quite challenging if you've been in quite a few jobs, you've built a lot of experience, you want to show your skills. Perhaps been working for 20, 30 years, done quite a few jobs. What tips do you say about keeping things to one page? I mean, should you, if you've after how many jobs should you sort of summarize it? How could is it best to start with a summary of your skills and then just the 5 most recent jobs and summary? Because it is quite a challenge to keep, I think, to one page, isn't it? You've been
yes, but does the employer care about what you did 30 years ago? Because your character changes as you age. And say if someone came again for a job for me, I'd be most interested they did in the last 5 years.
Sure. Okay.
And again, it's experience and what they did.
Sure.
Were they a sort of person that just followed orders, or are they a sort of person that's self-directed? And for me, in my business, I'm looking for self-direction is quite a high, because I'm time poor.
Sure.
If I had an employer, I want to be able to fire and forget.
Okay.
So there'd be feedback, but I want here is a task. You can do it any way you like. On condition, if you get stuck, you call me.
Sure.
But it's up to you. I'm trusting you. I've employed you, so I'm trusting you. There's no point having a dog and barking yourself.
No, true.
So that in general, I want anyone watching to just have more confidence in themselves. And
if you're a student, say coming out, school and university, and you're not quite sure, you're looking at your career options. If you look, looking at yourself and your skills, what in your personality, there's a lot of systems you can use for checking your personality type, Myers-Briggs and I think DISC. Do you use any of those? Do you think they're effective or?
Right. So effective is a bit of a strong word.
Sure.
But they are definitely useful.
Right.
So the two sides of coin. they're very useful, but don't take them too seriously.
Okay, so
I
guide.
wouldn't, yeah, I wouldn't stake my life on them, but they may well reveal broad character traits of yourself.
Okay, and just have you found your what you do has changed much in the last year? Have you been busier with the effect of COVID and obviously the change in the economic situation? Is it as it
So
or more people?
as I alluded to, I am very time poor.
Sure.
I run an IT support business. I am the director of a laser cutting and engraving business.
Okay, with entrepreneur.
And I'm also building the career guiding and coaching business.
Okay.
Plus some other things. So I am very time poor, and the IT support business has never been as busy in my life.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting. How do you manage your time? Any tips around time management? Because obviously that is a big.
Don't do as I say, not as I do.
Okay. Do you have to be quite ruthless with your time in that way? If people want to speak to you.
A couple of I sometimes call myself the expert's expert or the expert's guide. So I know quite a lot of the experts in their field. Right. So one of the experts in time management is Dave Allen.
Okay. Yep.
David Allen. Okay. And basically that's the do, delegate, defer, delete.
Okay.
So I've been talking the talk a long time, sure, but I'm beginning to walk the walk. So for my IT support business, about 6 months ago, something like that, I bit the bullet and I've taken on a telephone answering service.
Okay.
So I have a bank of about a dozen lovely ladies down in Dronfield, okay, who are much nicer than me and much more polite than me. And they pick up the phone 5.5 days a week.
Okay.
They take a message very politely. They know what to ask for. And then they send me an email telling me who's rung in. Now, that costs several £100s a month.
Sure.
Which sounds a lot, but since I've employed them, my income has gone up.
It's interesting. I heard that from a speaker at an event about to young entrepreneurs. They're saying that when people start a business, they spend too much time on the admin and the running business side, and not enough time on the sales and the marketing and the meeting clients. And you get caught up in 80% of your time on the paperwork, the answering calls, the accounting, whatever. And doing 20%.
What these clever guys say is you set yourself a pounds per hour.
Sure.
And you ban yourself from doing any job that is worth less than that pounds per hour. Obviously, do as I say, not as I do.
No, okay. I think there's a lot to be said for that. What value do we place on our time? That's the question, isn't it? One quick question. I noticed your elephant. Is that your logo? How did you choose the elephant?
Right. So again, it's a lovely long story. So IT support business, fixed my PC. 1 million years ago when I started, Yellow Pages, the physical book, was very, very powerful marketing tool. And something like half of our business came through Yellow Pages.
All right.
Yellow Pages said, let me design the advert for you.
Sure.
They produced an advert, and it was a drawing of an old git like me leaning over a computer. And I said, no, I can do better than that.
Sure.
So Psychology 101 is got to be a face.
Right.
And then to be politically correct, even back then, safer to be an animal rather than a human.
Okay. How do you choose elephant?
You've got a human face, got an animal face looking at you. It's not this style, but what animal would you really only have positive connotations? So tiger, too aggressive.
Sure.
Yeah. Platypus, what the heck? So it boiled down to elephant or owl.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan of elephants, so I can see why.
And an owl has been hijacked by academic.
Sure.
So I had no choice. It had to be an elephant. Because what do we think? Solid, trustworthy,
True.
fairly gentle giants, long memory. Yeah. So I can't think of too many bad things about elephants. And obviously purple. You see, I've got purple, purple, purple everywhere. Purple is historically the color of royalty.
It's true. Yeah, I know.
So that's from the little shells that make the purple dye, that make the Roman
Sure.
cloaks. And that follows through that purple is subconsciously a royal color. So there you go. So purple elephant, and I actually own the trademark purple elephant for anything to do with IT in Britain.
Great. No, it's good. There's a story behind it, not just something random. But I think it's interesting. There is a lot of psychology around color. I think, you know, blue is especially a very trustworthy color. Red has got an urgency, and you know, black's very authoritative. And I think it's fascinating. And
yeah, I see you've got some blue. Yeah, so you've got some nice blue there.
Yeah, especially calming.
What they say, that the numbers say that a blue background on your social media post will increase views by 20%.
They say if you want a call to action, that blue is one of the best colors to have, or green, I think is another one. But yeah, no, it's fascinating. So John, I mean, I could talk to you. I could talk to you a lot longer. It's fascinating, and I think it's something we can all relate to, because, you know, we've all had jobs in our life, and we all recognize that struggle, you know, especially when we know less school, university. It's something that I think everyone can relate to, even if we work in our own business now. And the skills that you talk about are applicable to anyone. You know, how to sell yourself, market yourself, how to set yourself goals, how to you know, do brainstorming. All those things are skills, whatever we do in life. So do you want to just share? I could share below this box. How, if people are interested to talk to you, get in touch, what's the best way? Is it LinkedIn?
Yeah, so LinkedIn, you'll see my face on there, but careersguide.uk.
Great, careersguide.uk.
Careers.guide.uk. If you do /links, that has got a whole summary of the things I'm up to, and I run a few workshops. I run free workshops a few times a week, and that's on career choice, critical thinking, and starting to write blog posts.
Fantastic.
So yeah.
No, thanks for sharing that. And I mean, is there any final tips you want to share? Is it, you know, a bit of motivation, is it, or, you know, anything you want to say?
All right. So again, once you get to us, right, first step is self-awareness. Then you'll be going up the ladder of personal development, and then at some point you may find that motivation turns to finding your purpose.
Sure.
Once you have found your mission, if it's on the way to your mission, there'll be no problem with motivation anymore.
Sure. Great.
So it's really your first step, self-awareness, and your core values and ethics. What sits comfortably with you? What's in your heart?
I know. I agree. I mean, I believe very much what you said earlier about 80% of everything you do in life's mindset and 20% skill set. And it does start, I think, with knowing, you know, where am I? You know, understanding your awareness of, you know, where you are now before you can then decide where you want to be. It's that here I am, point A, where do I want to be, point B, and then how do I get there? So yeah, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it. So this is Jonathan Frost, and I'm Nick Ronald, Secret Influence TV. I will be sharing Jonathan's details below. Thank you for your time, Jonathan. And
thank you, Nick. It's been a real pleasure.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I've learned something, and I think you can tick both the boxes. That you certainly shared your expertise, and also I think you've inspired me. You know, that, you know, it's possible to get your goals in life. You know, have your dream job. It is possible with the right approach. So thank you, John.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Nick.